How's it going, everyone? My name's Tyler, and in this video I'm going to give you a tutorial on module loaders and more specifically Webpack as a module loader. And I'm going to go over why Webpack is generally considered the most popular module loader within the web development community right now. So real quick before we get started, I'm going to go over what modules are for those who may not be familiar with the modular pattern in JavaScript development. So they're basically just self-contained pieces of code, each with their own distinct functionality. And this mimics the concept of classes and objects in a language like Java, for example. So there's many different advantages to organizing your code this way, a couple of them being the maintainability and reusability of your code. If you follow the modular pattern in programming your application, it allows you as a developer to add, remove, or change pieces of code without having to worry as much about whether or not those changes might destroy an existing piece of functionality in your application. So with that said, I'm going to go into why we use module loaders, and I have a basic little example here. So you'll see I have this simple index HTML file, and in it I have this single script tag loading a script.js file. In this script.js file, I have two different modules defined, and in a larger application, you might have many more modules. And as you add functionality and add and define more modules in your application, you might want to separate those modules into their own files to better organize your code and allow you as a developer to distinguish each piece of code and functionality from each other. So I've done this here. I have two different files defining those same modules. I have a module1 JS file here and a module2 JS file here. And with this pattern, instead of having this single monolithic script.js file with a bunch of modules defined in it, like I said, I'm going to separate them into different scripts. But an issue with that is if you have a bunch of different scripts, each defining different modules, you then need to load each of those scripts onto the page for your page to have the desired functionality. And when you have multiple scripts, you have multiple requests, which then slows the load time of the page. So to get around that, we're instead going to define the script.js file as a single entry point for our app and set up a dependency path within this entry point and require the different modules defined in their scripts that we have here. So I've set up the dependencies for our app, and if you're familiar with Java browser JavaScript, you'll know that this right here is CommonJS, which won't run in a browser, and that's where Webpack comes in, because the main purpose of Webpack is to bundle JavaScript files for usage in a browser. Alright, so in order to use Webpack in our application, first we need to make sure that we have Node.js installed in our computer, which we do. So once we've done that, we're going to set up a package.json file with npm init, and the package.json file basically just allows us to manage the npm packages that we're using in our application, which in this case is just going to be Webpack. So once we've done that, we're going to install Webpack in our app directory. Alright, so now that we have Webpack installed, we just have one more step to get up and running here. We're going to make a Webpack config file which basically just tells Webpack how to behave in our application. And we're going to throw this in there. I've already taken a sample, just very basic Webpack config file here, and I'll go through it with you. So the context is just our app directory. It's the current directory that we're in. This next line here is just a quick determination on our node environment, whether it's production, in which case we're going to use these plugins here to strip out any duplicate code, for example, with this dedupe plugin, or minify our code and strip out any comments or source or inline source mapping. And if it's in debug mode, we're going to use inline source mapping and not use any of these plugins. The entry point to our app is our scripts.js file, and then the output of our Webpack build is going to be a scripts.min.js file. So we'll save that, and then we're just going to run Webpack in our app directory, and that's going to build our scripts.min.js file, which you'll see here. So in this file, you'll see that right here it defines our modules, module 1 and module 2 here, and then it brings it into the app. And basically what this is putting the dependencies in a browser-friendly version. All right, so now that we've built our scripts.min.js file, all we need to do now is change this here in the index file, and we'll go ahead and open that index file. And if I pull up the dev tools here, you'll see the console. Module 1 and Module 2 have both loaded in our example page here. Alright, so now that you've seen how Webpack works, I'm going to show you why it has become so popular in the web development community and become arguably the most popular modular loader. So, and I'll show you that with an example. So, say a part of our application needs jQuery, and we install jQuery on our app directory here. And say, for example, module 1 needs to take advantage of jQuery for some kind of functionality. Just like we did in the main entry point for the application, we're going to require a dependency here. In this case, it's jQuery. And then we're going to use jQuery to change the contents of our page. Okay. So all we have to do now is build the Webpack application again. And then go back here to our browser, and you see now that the the jQuery is now included in the application, and the console log has changed over here. But you'll see here that jQuery is not included in the global scope. So this is the most attractive part of Webpack to many developers, is that you can require a dependency and only use that dependency for the particular piece of software that needs it. So you don't have to load jQuery for your entire application. If only one module needs jQuery, then you only have to require jQuery for that particular module, and when that module gets called in the main entry point of the app is the only time that jQuery is loaded into the application. So this feature is called code splitting, and it's basically, like I said, just a way to split the code base into chunks that are loaded only on demand, only when they're needed to be loaded. And that is basically why Webpack has become so popular, is that because when your list of dependencies grows so large, for a large application like that to load every dependency on every page would be impossible and cause the load times for each page to be entirely too long. So Webpack helps building these large applications by only requiring these dependencies to be loaded exactly when they're needed to on demand. So that's it for my tutorial of Webpack. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.